Welcome back to the Tansson Talks show. I'm Brandon, the host of the show, and I always love doing this. Heading into episode 123, I'm very excited to welcome back my guest here today, Milagros. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Brendan. Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here speaking with you today.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to speak with you as well. And so, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I feel like things have changed so much since the last time that I was here, so I'm excited to catch up.
Yeah, I'm so excited, like I said, for us to catch up as well. And I know that we don't have a lot of time, but I'm excited to make the most of the time that we do have.
Yes, me too.
And so, if you're able to go ahead and reintroduce yourself for the watching and listening audience here today.
Mhm. Yes, so my name is Milagros Orkoshen. I studied public relations and institutional communication here in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I was born and raised in Buenos Aires. I've always lived and studied here. I studied at Universidad Argentina de la Empresa and I graduated in December 2024. During my academic journey, I was very involved with PRSSA, which is the Public Relations Student Society of America. During my first year at school, I was involved at my local chapter, and then I started serving on the international committee. I served as the vice president of events and fundraising for 2 years, and I then served as international president. PRSSA is connected with 380 schools across the American continent. So we have PRSSA chapters in the US, but also Puerto Rico, Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, and Peru. Now that I've graduated, I've launched a personal project that's called Entre Puentes, and I'm sure I'll share more during our conversation. And I'm also working with Ketchum Argentina as an account assistant.
Wow. Well, first of all, massive congratulations on graduating.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It feels like such an important milestone, and also time flew by. I mean, I can't believe that I've already graduated.
How long has it been at this point?
So I graduated in December, so 7 months. But I still feel like I graduated yesterday. Like 2025 is going by way too fast.
Yes, it definitely is. I mean, I know for us right now, even not to date the episode, but in in mid July. I mean, we're gonna be in August pretty soon.
I know. It's crazy. 2025 is going way too fast. But at the same time, I feel like I've been doing so much since graduation. So I'm excited about this new chapter in my life.
Well, that is great to hear. And speaking of doing so much after graduation, are you able to tell us a little bit, sort of, as to what you're doing? And actually, let's start with graduation day. How was that for you?
hmm so it was a very special day. The way graduation works here in Argentina, it's a bit different compared to how it works in the US. I haven't had my ceremony yet because you have to wait until our diploma gets approved by the government, and that's like a whole process. I'm actually having that ceremony next month, so 8 months after I technically graduated. So for graduation, we celebrated my graduation the day that I had my last final exam. So I had that exam, and then that day after graduation, I went to dinner with my family, and then during the weekend, I celebrated with my friends. But it's a bit weird because I feel like now, 8 months after I graduated, I'm going back to school for the ceremony. But at the same time, that's an opportunity to fully close the chapter in my life. So I'm excited about August. It's happening on August 13th, so less than a month away.
Well, that's so exciting. And are you ready for the big day? How do you feel going into it?
hmm Yeah, I'm very excited, but at the same time, it's like a mix of feelings. It's excitement, happiness. I'm also proud of myself, but it's also nostalgic. I mean, I enjoyed this past 4 years, so I feel nostalgic closing this chapter in my life, but also I'm excited for what's ahead. So I'd say a mix of feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely 100% understand that. If anything, this reminds me of, for me and my end of high school time. So for me, I had finished high school officially in December 2019. I started college early, but so I started college in January 2020, and I did a whole first semester, and then, of course, the pandemic. But then I actually had my graduation ceremony in the middle of June 2020. So a whole 6 months afterwards, I'd already done a semester of college. We had a global pandemic, and it's like, wow, this this feels so weird.
Yeah, that's how I feel about going back next month, 8 months after I've technically graduated.
But yeah, I mean, it's just nevertheless, I'm glad that you're able to have something to really look back on and be able to see that you've gotten a job, you've started your own agency, you are have transitioned from you know not just national president but from international president to now past president. So much stuff has happened within a very short period of time.
I know sometimes when I start reflecting on everything that's happened and how much I've accomplished since graduation, it's crazy to think about that. And I'm also very proud of myself. When I graduated, I was nervous. I wasn't sure what was next. I had more questions than answers, but I feel like everything ended up going the way that it was supposed to be. So it feels rewarding, and also I have this sense of pride and accomplishment. And yeah, as I was saying, it feels like everything ended up going the way that it was supposed to go.
I love that sentiment, and I guess to dive into some more specifics a bit before the time that you graduated, just I said for in part because of time, and I'm just so excited, was it, to catch up. So, how overall was your term as international president for PRSSA? I know when we last spoke, June 28th, 2024, that which it feels crazy to think it was that long ago, but when we last spoke, you had just started your term, and now you have just concluded it. So
Mhm.
overall, how was it for you?
It was such a special year. So, for those who don't know, PRSSA, as I was saying before, it's the Public Relations Student Society of America. And our goal is to help PR and communication students enhance their education, broaden their networks, launch their careers. PRSSA has more than 300 chapters in the US, Puerto Rico, Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, and Peru. And each chapter at their schools, they have their own executive board, their own initiatives, programs, member benefits. But at the same time, there's an international committee that's in charge of leading, guiding, and creating resources for all of our members and chapters across the American continent. So I served as the international president of this committee, the committee that's in charge of leading and guiding all of our chapters and members. And actually, I was the first member from a Latin American chapter to serve on the committee, and first member from Latin American chapter to be president. So it was a very rewarding experience. And besides my own personal and professional growth, I feel like this experience helped raise awareness of how big and diverse PRSSA actually is. And it opened doors for more members in Latin America. So it was a very rewarding experience. And I feel like it helped make PRSSA even more accessible and diverse. During my term as president, of course, I had my typical president responsibilities, such as guiding everyone on the team on the international committee, who have 8 vice presidents. So I was in charge of leading the committee and making sure our vice presidents were accomplishing their goals throughout the year. And then, of course, I had my own personal goals and responsibilities, such as helping plan ICON, that's our international conference, leadership assembly, leading our subcommittees, or helping connect and bridge the gap between PRSSA and PRSA, which is the professional part of our society. But then, besides that, I've always been very passionate about diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's one of my greatest passions, and as someone that's based in Latin America and is a part of a Latin American PRSSA chapter, I know firsthand some of the challenges that Latin American members face. For instance, some of our members in Latin America, they don't know how to speak in English, and the information that PRSSA is providing, it's mostly in English because we are headquartered in New York City. So during my term as president, I wanted to help make PRSSA more accessible and inclusive for everyone. So, for instance, I started translating content into Spanish, our social media captions into Spanish, or progressions articles. So we have a blog that's called Progressions. We started translating our blogs into Spanish. We launched podcasts in Spanish. We hosted a webinar in Spanish. And by launching all of those initiatives, we helped make PRSSA more accessible, and we helped break the language barrier. And something else that we accomplished that I'm very proud of is that we changed the name National Committee to International Committee. So PRSSA, before it was called PRSSA National. But our society ended up transitioning into a global organization. As I was saying before, we now have chapters not only in the US, but also in Latin America. So by changing that name from PRSSA National to PRSSA International, we are showing the direction that PRSSA is headed. And PRSSA, now it's an international organization and it's continuing to grow internationally. So that's why I wanted to make that shift in terminology.
Well, first of all, is that is I'm so glad that you were able to to make the most of your term, and I love that you dedicated your term to making the PRSSA then National Committee, now International Committee, more inclusive, more accessible, and truly highlighting it as a global organization alongside your, of course, 8 vice presidents in your team. And how does that feel knowing that your term was able to help usher in some of these changes?
It makes me so happy. And just by speaking with our members and seeing how excited they are about these changes and how they feel a greater sense of belonging with PRSSA, it fills my heart with joy. And I'm excited to see how PRSSA continues to grow and expand its accessibility in the future. I feel like we've founded a solid foundation, but there's still so much more we could do. So I'm excited about the future of PRSSA and the way that we are headed.
Well, that certainly makes sense, and yeah, and I know from a sort of outsider perspective of just, of course, having followed your journey over, these past 2 years, and since we actually met at a Icon event back in 2022, that it's been so fun being able to see your journey and how it's truly, I feel your progression has been like directly tied to PRSSA's progression, that as no pun intended with the progressions blog, but as you've been able to grow in your skills, PRSSA has been able to define really who it is, and being able to show that it's an organization and it's here for its students, it's here for its professional counterparts, and that it truly is this amazing international organization, and now it's really embracing that.
Well, thank you. And I couldn't agree more. Um, and just like by looking at the numbers and how much PRSSA has grown in this past few years and seeing how we've accomplished all of our goals that we set at the beginning of the term, it's very exciting. And as I was saying before, I'm excited about the future of PRSSA as well. I feel like we've founded a solid foundation. But this year's international committee, they're off to an incredible start. I know that they'll continue to accomplish amazing things.
And I will say too that, of course, while your term as international president, let's say, has ended, is that you are still in the committee now in a new role as immediate past president. Is this, I believe, your fourth term? Um, uh,
Yes, it's my fourth year with the international committee.
how does that feel, knowing that that you've gone from 2 years of 2 terms of being a vice president of events and fundraising, from a year uh, of international president to taking a different role as a past president, where you're no longer the primary leader, but you're still in a pretty important position within the international committee.
Mhm. So if I'm being completely honest, it feels so weird. I mean, PRSSA, it has become a part of who I am. For this past 4 years, I've been so focused on my work with PRSSA that it's become a part of myself. I mean, whenever I talk about who I am, what I do, my passions, I always mention PRSSA. So it's crazy to think that this is my last year with PRSSA. And after this year, of course, I'm continuing my involvement with the organization. I will transition to PRSA. And I feel like I will always be connected with PRSSA, but from a different role. So it's weird to think that my leadership and involvement with PRSSA, it's evolving, it's transitioning. But at the same time, I feel like it's time for me to grow and move to something else, still staying connected with PRSSA and PRSA. But I'm entering a new chapter in my life. So I feel like it's time to make that transition. And as immediate past president, even though, as you were saying, it's a different role and I'm helping PRSSA from a different perspective and position, it's still a very rewarding experience. I get to mentor the next committee. I get to guide them and seeing their excitement as they are leading PRSSA on the international committee. It's very heartwarming. And getting to mentor them and see their growth throughout the year, it's a great experience.
I'm so glad that that you are, embracing this new experience. Of course, while it's different from your previous ones and your previous role, whereas I feel that at least from your trajectory, like you've been working to get up in the ranks, and now it's like you've done that, and now you're sort of like you have a year transition out to sort of figure out what you want that next chapter to really look like in your life. But at least you're able to get that time. What do you look forward to sort of giving back to the PRSSA community within these final few months?
So as I was saying before, I look forward to mentoring the next leaders of PRSSA and seeing their excitement, proactivity, curiosity as they're leading PRSSA. It makes me so happy because I know that PRSSA is in great hands. And then, of course, helping bridge the gap between PRSSA and PRSA. As I was saying before, PRSSA is the student counterpart of organization. PRSA is the professional counterpart of organization. So as IPP, immediate past president, I work on helping connect PRSSA and PRSA and bridge the gap between both parts of the organization so that when students graduate, they can seamlessly transition to PRSA and continue their involvement with our organization. And then, of course, I'm looking forward to continuing our efforts regarding accessibility. As I was saying before, last year I started translating content into Spanish. So, our social media captions, progressions, articles, podcasts. But we want to make sure that effort can be sustained in the future, even if I'm no longer a part of the committee or if there's not anyone that's bilingual on the committee. So this year we are launching for the first time ever a translations committee that's in charge of translating content. So that team will be made up of 4 students plus me that I'm leading the team this year. And we'll be working on translating social media captions, progressions, articles, and brainstorming ideas on how PRSSA can continue to break this language barrier and be more accessible. And the goal is to have a translation team every year, even if there's not someone that's bilingual on the international committee. So that way, we'll have a dedicated team that's in charge of translating our content, and PRSSA will continue to be accessible and break the language barrier.
I love that, and I'm so glad that that you've taken these initiatives and worked to make a more inclusive and more accessible society. Because I'm sure that actually, let me change this into a question. So when you had joined the at the time the national committee for your very first time as a vice president of events and fundraising, at that point, how would you think that accessibility was in terms of PRSSA and your chapter? Since whereas of course your chapter largely in the Spanish language, whereas for all of the information from from the national English. How was that for you all for inclusiveness compared to now?
So I think that in the past, or Latin American chapters, at least from my experience, we weren't fully connected to PRSSA globally. It seemed like our chapter, it operated great, but it was just our local chapter, and we were not opening ourselves to connecting with peers at an international level, so connecting with other chapters across the continent. And when I started getting involved in the international committee, and then Theo, also from Argentina, started getting involved in the international committee, it seemed like we opened new doors and we started seeing how big PRSA actually was and all of the opportunities that we had out there. And then regarding the language, I'd say that we are lucky that we have many members who speak both English and Spanish. So they were able to translate the content for those who don't speak English. But also, I know that that's not the case for everyone, and that's not something that we can always do. So that's why we wanted to work on translating content so that there's not a need for someone within the chapter to translate the content for someone else. That's something that should be coming from headquarters, so the international committee. We should be working on translating the content and ensuring that everyone can access the resources no matter where they're located or the language that they speak. So I'd say that we just weren't as connected internationally. We were just operating locally. But once we started getting involved in the international committee, we started building this network, not just with our local chapter, but with chapters from all over.
Well, I'm so glad. I mean, that your efforts have really allowed for the that connection internationally, being able to hopefully feel more included and more and more valued. In that it's not like a, oh, I wasn't the target audience. Now it's a, I am included. This is
Mhm.
a part of of who they want to reach.
Yes, exactly. Like that's my whole purpose. I feel like, as I was saying before, maybe we have members in Latin America who speak both English and Spanish and they can translate the content, but it doesn't, maybe they don't feel as included or they don't feel the sense of belonging because they're translating content that they're receiving in English. Instead, if we are sending content in Spanish, that shows that we are seeing them, that we value them, and that we want them to feel this sense of belonging and make sure they feel like they are a part of the society. So it's a different feeling. They don't have to translate the content. They're already receiving the content in their language of preference.
I love that, and even one of the things I've noticed too is that for some of the bilingual content that's been coming out that I've been really loving is that especially as seeing like on LinkedIn and and Instagram at sometimes is that sometimes English is even the first one up there, and I love being able to, for my very little Spanish that I no I've been loving actually the challenge of trying to uh
Mm.
to really learn Spanish by just even going through and feeling more that it's such a more inclusive environment. And so I'm so glad that you and your committee was able to help champion that change.
Oh, thank you. And yes, that's something that I say all the time. I feel like there's so much we can learn from and about each other. So making PRSSC more accessible, more inclusive, it helps us be more aware about different experiences and perspectives. So I can learn about different things from the US. Our members in the US can learn more things about our members in Latin America, or even within the US and different PRSSA chapters. Like it's something reciprocal for everyone where we can learn from and about our diverse experiences and perspectives.
I mean, I really love that. And I did want to ask, speaking of, like I said, inclusion, I did want to ask, how was Icon 2024 for you?
Icon 2024 was incredible. I've attended Icon 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. So I've attended many icons, and I have to say that Icon 2024, it was one of my favorite conferences. The energy, it was something different. I don't know how to explain it, but it was amazing. Like from the speakers or students were asking so many questions during sessions, or when we had networking sessions, everyone was so proactive, generous, empathetic, and ready to connect and learn. So I'd say that Icon 2024 was incredible. It was also a very special experience for me because as president, I had many responsibilities, from introducing speakers to making sure everything was going smoothly, to just moderating sessions. I had many responsibilities. So it was also a very hectic conference in a way because you had to do so much. Uh, but at the same time, I'd say that it was just outstanding. The Icon Conference Committee from Cal State Fullerton, they did a wonderful job planning the conference, and I couldn't be prouder of the outcome.
I love that. And I know from, even though I didn't have a chance to go, I know from those that were able to go, I know that they said that they loved the energy that the conference brought out, and that everyone just like I felt a part of the society. And so and yeah, it's been so fun being able to see the pictures online of the conference. And I mean, yeah, I mean, y'all just did like I said, a great job with that.
Thank you, thank you. And yes, I'd say that the energy of Icon 2024 was unmatched. I'm very excited about Icon 2025. I know, Brandon, that you're attending Icon, so I can't wait to see you in person again.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see you in person again as well. I mean, that would only be our second time ever seeing in person. The first time being that we met for the first time.
I know, it's crazy. I mean, I feel like I've known you for so long, and you've become my friend. But at the same time, we've only seen each other 2 times in person, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're definitely my friend as well, and it's so exciting. I mean, thinking about this, especially, yeah, seeing yourself and hopefully some other people I've met on the podcast over the years, and so, I mean, I'm certainly quite excited. I know as soon as I found out that it was official, yeah, you and San were the first people that that I told.
Amazing. And yes, I can't wait to see you in October. It's going to be here before we even realize. I mean, we're in the middle of July, so it's coming very soon.
Yes, it definitely is. What would you say are you, since we're talking about Icon, what would you say you're most looking forward to for Icon 2025?
Mhm. So I'm looking forward to the connections. I feel like, of course, we can connect with students and professionals virtually, but there's something special about those in-person interactions. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone again in person and just continuing to build our PRSSC network. Of course, as I was saying before, we can continue the conversation virtually throughout the year. But there's something special about those in-person interactions. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I mean, so excited for that. And yeah, and even like with those in-person connections, I mean, since you've been to quite a few different Icon events, what would you say is your like your favorite part about that, and how is it being able to meet people in person that you've met online? Like, how is that? And I'm sure some are planned
Mhm.
and some are probably like, oh, I didn't know that person's going to be here and around the corner.
I know it's so special to see everyone in person. And PRSSA, it's truly a global organization. We have students from all over. So there's events like Icon, Leadership Assembly, or a great opportunity to connect with them. And maybe even since we are truly all over the globe, it's hard to gather everyone and have this point of connection where we get to see each other in person. So that's why I love these events. It's the opportunity to get together and connect in person. And I feel like I have friends truly from all over. I mean, I have friends from all over the US, but also in Latin America, also in different countries, perhaps students that are based in another country, but they study in the US or in South America. For instance, last summer, I went with my family to Mancora. That's a beach town in Peru. And then after that, I went to Lima. We have a PRSC chapter in Lima. And I got to visit them in person. And that was such a special opportunity And I stayed at the house of Antonella. Antonella is a former PRSSA member. I visited the PRSSA chapter. And again, there's something special about those in person connections. And when you get to see them in person and actually, hug them and see like you're a real person, it feels so special.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I know that it's so amazing whenever you're able to have those chances. And speaking of your trip last summer, is that some of my friends from my podcast from the other side were actually speaking about that and how they were so excited to see you visit, and
Mm.
so it really is such an amazing international community.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that's what made me fall in love with PRSSA, our community. Everyone is so kind, empathetic, willing to help you, and genuinely excited to see you succeed. So that's the most important and special thing about PRSSA, our community.
I love that, and I know that you've been, like I said, making your rounds, speaking to all the various chapters, both as as then the international president, and of course, just you being the person that you are, speaking with them. And I believe that there's even a new chapter in Mexico now, and so many amazing new connections. I hope.
Yes, we have a new chapter in Mexico, and I am genuinely thrilled about Peer as it says international growth, and I can't wait to see how we continue to grow internationally. There are so many projects in the works, so I can't wait to see them come to life.
I'm so glad. And I did want to shift gears a little bit to your personal life. Was it now that you're after graduation? So, as soon as you graduated, like, how was everything for you? No longer having schoolwork to try to work with, but also trying to figure out, what do you do now? Of course, you still have PRSSA, but you still have, a bit more time to yourself now.
It felt so weird. I mean, I've always been such a proactive person and productive person. I like doing things and I like being busy and having different projects in the works. So when I graduated, I just like didn't know what to do with my time. It felt weird. I graduated in December, and December is the beginning of summer here in Argentina. So during the summer, I just traveled with my family. As you mentioned, I went to Peru. I visited our PRSSA chapter in Lima, and I just used that time during the summer to relax and think about my future and what I wanted to do. And then I feel like there are two parts of myself. One part of myself is very organized and I like following a specific path and like I'm very proactive and very structured in a way. But at the same time, there's another part of myself that's very creative and I love stepping out of my comfort zone, trying new things, taking on challenges. So during the summer, when I was reflecting about what I wanted to do after graduation, I had this perfect plan in mind. I was finishing my term as president in June, and in my head, I was starting a full-time job in June. It was simple, just like travel during the summer, visit our PRSSA chapter in Lima, relax, recharge my energy, continue my term with PRSSA, finish my presidents in June, and start a full-time job. That was the perfect plan for someone that's organized, structured. That's what I had to do. But then when I got back from my trip in Lima, and I got back to work with Peter SSA and just got settled into my new routine, I started questioning myself and I realized that perhaps that wasn't the path for me. Like, I mean, it seemed like the path that someone that's organized or structured, like that was the perfect plan. But it didn't seem like it was the perfect fit for me. So I ended up changing my route a little bit, trying new things, stepping out of my comfort zone, and following that part of myself that's more creative, that's more adventurous, and that likes stepping out of their comfort zone. And that's why I launched Entre Puentes. That's the project that I mentioned. And I also gave myself time to focus on things that are not just work related. And that's something that's always been hard for myself because I love my work. I love public relations. And it's something that I'm genuinely passionate about. But I also know that it's important to give time to yourself, to sing if you like to sing, to go for a walk, or to do a different sport, or just read a book. I don't know. Give yourself time to focus on your hobbies, focus on recharging your energy. So that's been a priority for me as well. Not just focus on my work and the professional part of myself, but also focus on that personal part of myself and the hobbies that I have.
I love that. I know even for myself, after I graduated last May, I was like, okay, well, from doing this podcast, I've heard how stressful this, after college time is. I wanted to take some time for myself. Ended up getting very busy, unexpectedly. But I don't know. I started like embracing sort of just having fun with, with different things I'm doing, like make little projects and adventures out of everything. But even now, a year later, as much as I'm still working, I'm still also working to try to find that balance and being able to have fun with some time I have, because I know that you won't get that time back. But then also realizing that you know it's okay if we take things slower and work on our own time.
Yeah, it's not a competition. It's not a race. We will have our own times, our own timings, and it's important to respect them and give ourselves time to truly recharge and focus on not just our professional life, but also our personal life. There's a term that I really like. I mean, my dad, we always speak about this, and he mentioned the term work life integration instead of work life balance. Because when we think about balance, it's like when something weighs more, the other thing weighs less. So it seems like you can have both things weighing the same. It's like one more, one less. So the term balance, it just didn't sit right with me. Instead, when we think about work life integration, it's like you are one person and your work, your personal life, you're coexisting within yourself. So it's not a balance where it seems like they are competing or two separate things, work and life. Instead, when you think about work life integration, again, you're both coexisting in you and both are part of yourself.
I love that. I think that's just such a great message too, and even like the thought of that, yeah, the initial thought about balance. I think what's hard about that is that there's so many gives and takes. Like it's not it's easier said than done to like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna
Mm-hmm.
not do this work thing when you really need to do that, or going straight into pleasure in your free time when when you haven't really earned that yet. Not that you need to work yourself, forever, but but you still need to actually do both. But I like that
Mm-hmm.
for you, that being able to integrate that. I love that.
Yeah, and I think that there's not a magic formula to master work life integration. I think that that's something that, at least for me, I will always need to have that in mind. And I will continue to struggle with work life integration because it can be hard to find that perfect integration between your professional part and personal part of yourself. So again, I don't know if there's a magic formula. It's just something that we'll need to master and that we'll need to work towards during our professional lives. And I think that that's something that we'll need to do forever.
Oh, I definitely agree. And I did want to hear more about, like I said, your project that you've been working on. I've
Mhm.
been very excited to hear about that, resisting sending you a LinkedIn question about that.
Yes, so it's called Entre Puentes. In English, that would mean in between bridges. So Entre Puentes is an organization that offers PR and communications services to companies, organizations, people who are looking to communicate, but with a focus on social impact. So, as I was saying before, we provide PR and communication services such as social media management, event planning, strategic partnerships, sponsorship, fundraising, but with this focus on social impact because we reinvest our profits to fund professional development of people who have barriers to enter the workforce. So we are working with organizations and people who are looking to communicate but have a greater impact with their messages, because whenever they are communicating, they are not just delivering their messages, but they are also helping people who face barriers to enter the workforce, because our profits are being reinvested on their professional development. Last week, we announced that we are sponsoring Latin American students to attend ICON 2025 in Washington, D.C. And that's so exciting because for our students in Latin America, sometimes it can be harder to attend those in person events because you're based in Latin America and traveling to the US, it's expensive. Our currency, it's not in dollars. So they face different barriers to actually get to attend those in-person events. So being able to sponsor our Latin American students from Entrepuentes to attend ICON, it's such a heartwarming, rewarding experience. And also it feels like a full circle moment because now with my work, now that I've graduated, I get to help students in Latin America. So it's very heartwarming.
I love that, and I'm so glad that you're able to, to work on that initiative. I mean, wow, I there truly is so much I could say and ask, but I'm just so excited for you, and I know that this is truly right up your alley and is made for you.
Thank you, thank you. And yeah, said I'm very excited about the work of Entrepuentes, and we're growing fast, which is crazy. And at the same time, I've been very busy with Entrepuentes because things are growing fast. We have 5 clients, but this week we confirmed 3 new clients. So we're also in the process of inducting these 3 new clients. So it's been a lot of work. Martina Torres, she's a student here from Buenos Aires, Argentina. She joined Entrepuentes as an account assistant, and we are now looking to have a communications trainee. So the team continues to grow. But yeah, it feels like the perfect place for me because I've always been passionate about social impact and I've always been passionate about helping others. And I feel like with Entrepuentes, I get to work in PR and communications, which is my passion, but at the same time, I get to help our society and make a tangible impact on students, emerging leaders. So it seems like the perfect fit for me.
I love that, and yeah, I mean, it's so exciting to hear that, especially with, I mean, with sponsoring some students to attend Icon 2025. That is just so exciting. I know that while you've been on the PRSSA National and International Committee, uh, that the committee and yourself have been working to, yeah, to help students out with, yeah, with financial.
Mm-hmm.
Needs to make sure that Latin American students can attend Icon. I know that yeah, that I've donated to all of those since those started a couple years ago. But I'm just so excited that you're able to. I mean, to work on that. And what made you realize that this was the time to do this?
Mm-hmm. So, as I was saying before, when I graduated and I was reflecting on what I wanted to do with my life, the part of me that's structured, that's responsible and very organized, it wanted me to follow the traditional path, finish my term with PRSSA, and start a full time job. But then at the same time, I knew that I wanted to do something different. I wanted to actually work on social impact and continue to empower and help students and emerging leaders. So that's when I had the idea of founding Entre Puentes. But at the same time, it felt scary because I mean, I'm 22 years old, I was just graduated, and it wasn't the traditional path. It was, it meant starting my own project instead of working at a company that, of course, that provides you more financial security and it's easier in a way. When I launched Entre Puentes, I had to learn so many things, not just about PR and communications, but also about how to structure an organization and things that I've never thought about. But I knew that I wanted to do something greater with my degree and everything that I've learned in this past few years. So that's why I decided to take the leap and found Entre Puentes. And I couldn't be prouder of the decision that I made. I feel like it was definitely the right choice.
I'm so glad. And out of all the different projects that, yeah, that you're working on, like I said, through this one, what would you say is your favorite part and why?
Mm, so I'd say that my favorite part, of course, it's getting to help students and those who have barriers to enter the workforce. Because again, as I was saying before, I've always been passionate about social impact. So getting to connect with those communities and seeing how our work is impacting their professional journeys, it fills my heart with joy. So beyond our client work with the different companies that we are working with, at Entre Puentes, we have our own initiatives related to professional development. Next month, for example, we're hosting a workshop on thoughtful leadership, personal branding. So getting to plan those events or sponsor students. And we are working on different initiatives that we haven't launched yet related to professional development. And I think that's my favorite part of my work with Entre Puentes. How beyond our client work, we have our own initiatives to empower students, emerging leaders, and those who face barriers to enter the workforce, such as the workshop that I was mentioning or those sponsorship opportunities. I'd say that's my favorite part.
I love that. And yeah, I'm just so excited. Definitely please keep me posted on everything that you're doing for, yeah, for your work. And if I can do anything on my side to help promote your amazing work, yeah, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Thank you so much.
Of course. And I did want to ask too. So I know you mentioned that, of course, the sort of linear, like, go to college, you get it, get a job is not for you. But I also understand that in addition to, your own project, your own agency, that you're also working now as well.
Yes, I'm also working now, and it seemed like everything ended up in the way that it was supposed to be. Because he got a position as an account assistant with Ketchum Argentina, but it's a part-time position, which is very unique because you usually don't find part-time positions as an account assistant at agencies like Ketchum. But it's the perfect fit for me because since it's part time, I get to work on Entre Puentes, my own project, in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I work on Ketchum. So it gives me time to work on both projects. And with Ketchum, I'm working with the healthcare team. I'm very passionate about healthcare, and I feel like with my work at Ketchum, I also get to work on social impact because we are working on campaigns to raise awareness about different illnesses or different treatments. We get to communicate with patients and raise awareness of their own journeys and stories. So it's a very heartwarming job as well. And both my work with Entre Puentes and Ketchum are rooted on social impact. So it seems like everything ended up turning out in the way that it was supposed to be.
I love that. And yeah, I'm thinking back to, like I said, our very first conversation when you were mentioning that, your idealistic, life after graduation. You were saying that you wanted to be able to try out numerous different, different parts of communication, not just from the specific PR that you studied, but you wanted to, go above and, beyond and make sure that you had a plethora of experiences and options to choose from. And would you say that you're able to accomplish that now with these opportunities?
Yeah, and I'd say that I'm learning so much with these experiences. As I was just mentioning with Entre Puentes, for example, I'm not just working on PR and comms specifically, but I'm also learning about how to structure and how to lead your own agency, which it's been a great experience in terms of learning. And the same with Ketchum. Ketchum is an amazing agency, and working on teams that focus on healthcare comms, but working with leaders who have so much experience in the field, it's opening my mind in ways that I never imagined. So definitely, I feel like I'm learning so much from these experiences, not just about PR and comms, but also about different aspects. So it's been great.
I love that. And would you say that you've been able to use some of your skills, like from your time, like in PRSSA in your college life, to be able to integrate back into your own personal projects in your own life with your work life integration?
Yeah, definitely. With PRSSA, I've learned about the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and that's rooted in everything that I do. Or I've learned about how to be better at communicating with people from different countries, different cultures, diverse backgrounds. And with globalization, that's something that I had to implement on my day to day life. Or I've been able to practice my English. I learned English at high school, but with pure SSA, I started using my English on a more professional setting. And English is so important in the workplace. So I'm using that skill too. I would say that my academic journey wouldn't have been the same without pure SSA. With pure SSA, I've been able to put into practice everything that I was learning at school. So I know that if I hadn't been a part of PRSSA when I was a student, I wouldn't have the knowledge, experiences, and confidence that I have now. So everything that I'm doing and the way that I'm communicating and how I'm just being a person and a professional, it's connected to my experience with PRSSA, and it's deeply influenced by that experience too.
Well, I'm so glad, I mean, that you're able to use those skills, continue making an impact. And I did want to allow a moment for us to sort of flip the table too. So, is there anything else that we haven't had a chance to bring up, or any questions for me, or anything? The floor is all yours.
So, I mean, I feel like we're good friends, so I we are always communicating via email. I know what's happening with your life, but also you're always asking questions to us. So I want to ask you, how have you been? Any special updates? What's going on with your life?
Oh yeah, I love that. So first of all, I've been doing well, very busy, but I've been doing well in terms of special updates. So I would say 2025 has been such a unique year. I mean, similar to like what you were saying, I'm used to always being busy, having some sort of structure and everything. And so when I graduated last year, yeah, it was my first time, as I thought, leaving the classroom since the age of 2. I mean, it's like, what do I do with my life now? And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna dedicate the summer to sort of doing my own thing, and then I end up getting super busy with work. I have a few different part-time jobs I do, and one of them, there was a small miscellaneous project that was supposed to be like a one and done day. Ended up taking the entire summer. So I was like, oh well, that's unfortunate. But I told myself that, you know, I wanted to give myself until my birthday to, um, yeah, to be able to sort of have time for myself, and then I wanted to have a clear direction to my work. And so, yeah, I applied to some things that didn't really work out. But what was funny was last year on my birthday, I was like, wow, yeah, this is finally, we're finally here. My birthday's August 5th, so truly beginning of yeah, of August. Actually, I think our podcast last year actually released on my birthday. Um, yeah, it did. Yeah, our podcast last year released on my birthday, and I remember I was like, okay, well, this is the start of, yeah. the next chapter, age 22, what do I do now? And then the day afterwards, I went back to work. I got home from work, and I saw that I got some email notification, but like I didn't look into it. So I was about to go to sleep. I looked at the email, and it's just like I was like, oh my gosh. So I got in an email saying that giving me a contract to be an instructor at my university, and I never even applied, like per se, and it's truly was like a dream job. Um, it was just so exciting to see. So, for reference, I had taught a little bit when I was finishing my master's program, and so, but I taught online. I was an online instructor. I live about an hour away from my university, so I was an online student. I taught online, but it was like I graduated May 3rd. I stopped teaching May 7th. So I was just like, okay, well, that was a fun experience. Uh, it's sad that it ended, but the fact that, you know, I knew that they wanted me to continue on. I wanted to continue on, but I hadn't heard any information. And so to get an unexpected contract to teach the day after my birthday, which is when I had said that I wanted to, to figure out that new chapter. I thought it was unbelievable, especially when I opened up the contract and it actually was signed on my birthday. So I mean, it
Mm.
was like made to be, um, and so it was just amazing. But I was like, okay, like I probably won't have a class like this semester because, like, yeah, this is August 5th. Like the semester begins like on the 26th. Like this is a very short period of time, and so I said no guarantee of classes. I was like, okay. Um, I I focused the rest of my month really on just getting my brother to college, since that was his first year about to start, and so we moved him in on a Wednesday, and then on Thursday I was just volunteering at the university since he's attending the same as mine, and I just happened to run into one of my old professors that were just like, "Hey, there's a class that begins on Monday, and like, do you want to teach it?" And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, I don't. I was like, "Yes." Like, let me figure out some details and I'll get back to you. And so I did, and I got to teach for the fall semester.
Well, that's awesome, and I couldn't agree more. It feels like it was meant to be. The fact that you had this timeline on your mind, like after my birthday, I will figure out what to do with my professional life, and that you got that email the morning after your birthday. It was definitely meant to be.
Thank you. And yeah, and I just remember being like, "Oh my gosh, this changes everything." And I think the craziest experience is going into a college class, not just like I think almost everyone can relate to an experience of like going into like a day of class and not and realizing that you didn't prepare as much as you thought you should have. But I think it's it's interesting on the first day of college as an instructor, and that because I truly had less than 3 days to prepare, I wasn't even given access to the course material yet for me to teach. And it was and I was teaching in person this time. I haven't even been in person as a student since 2020. So I walk in and I wasn't even put into the system yet. So the students that even know my name under professor just said blank. And so to walk in, and some of the students are probably my age, and so it's just like it's like you're the instructor. It's like, yeah, like I don't know what to expect, and so yeah, I have like a PowerPoint prepared, a presentation, like some talking points, but like I was thinking, it's like I have an hour and 15 minutes, and I have no plans. Like I have plans, but I don't have the content, and so it's funny. The content finally came to me, I think, right after the class ended.
Mhm. And how was the experience teaching? Did you enjoy the
Oh, I
semester?
loved it. I loved it. I mean, I only had the one class, but I think I sort of shifted my whole like life towards teaching that one class, and I loved it. I mean, I had always wanted to be a teacher that was I remember in kindergarten they were just like, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And asking, like, "I don't know." Oh, the teacher is the one that asked me. I want to be a teacher, and it just stuck with me that yeah, yes, this is what I want to do. So being able to have that experience, especially in person, I loved it, and being there with my brother as well. He visited me on
Mm-hmm.
so many office hours, and uh, it became sort of a thing where after my classes, sometimes he'd come and be like, "So how was this one today?" Or give me a donut since there's a donut on shop on campus. So I mean, it it was just so fun being able uh, to teach, getting to know my students and some of their interest, and I'm so excited to return back to the classroom and in this fall semester.
Oh, well, that's great. I'm very happy for you, and keep me posted. I want to hear all about your next semester teaching.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm definitely will. And unfortunately, while I didn't have a class this spring, just because those numbers were already allocated, it was, I think, a weird experience going from, okay, now, like, I went from being a student to teaching the class, and now, like, I have nothing this for this
Mm.
semester. But it was fun. I spent, let's see, I spent the first few days of this year actually in Puerto Rico.
And that's so great. I remember when you told me that you were going to Puerto Rico. I got so excited. I want to go so bad. From the photos that I've seen in the videos, it seems like such a beautiful place.
Yeah, it really, Lisa, it really is. I'm so excited to hopefully be able to, yeah, to visit back one day and with the rest of my family. So me and my mom and my aunt and uncle went, and so we were helping out with a volunteer experience while also seeing some family. I have some family that lives in Puerto Rico I haven't seen in years, so being able to see them for a little bit, get some tours, and just embracing the experience. And
Hmm.
it was my first time actually ever leaving the continental U.S.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And yes, I'm sure you'll go back to Puerto Rico and be able to show your family around. So that's great.
But yeah, is there any other things that you wanted to ask about or speak about before we begin closing out? I know you have another meeting after this. So.
Hmm. So I think that we've covered everything. We had a very long discussion where we both share our updates. So yeah, it's been a great conversation.
Yeah, I definitely have so enjoyed it. And before we begin closing out, I did actually want to quickly ask, how was Leadership Assembly?
Leadership Assembly was wonderful. It's a very special event because at Leadership Assembly we get to elect the incoming international committee. So it was a very special moment for me, closing our term and my time as president, but also welcoming the next leaders of PRSSA. So yeah, it was a very special event.
I'm so I'm so glad, and to think that between Leadership Assembly and ICOG coming up, uh, that both of them are in the U.S. East Coast, and so now that you've seen, now that you've seen where Leadership Assembly was, what were your thoughts about? I believe it was North Carolina.
Yeah, it was in Charlotte, North Carolina. But the fun thing about that is that whenever I'm traveling for PRSSA, for Icon Leadership Assembly, I don't get to explore the city because I'm so busy with work that I don't leave the hotel. I'm always just like working on PRSSA. So yes, I liked Charlotte, but at the same time, I just didn't see anything of the city because I was always working.
Well, I hope that for for Icon that you're able to explore Washington D.C. and I know sometimes you like to visit some other places. So I hope that you are able to travel a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. And also now that I'm attending as immediate past president, it's not the same as attending as president. So I might have more free time to explore the city.
Well, that's great. And like I said, I mean, as I always say, you're more than welcome to visit Virginia as well.
I know that would be so much fun. You can show me around your campus. It would be great. I would love that.
Yeah, definitely. One of these days, we need to definitely get that on the
Yes,
books.
yes.
But yeah, but as we're closing out, I did want to start off by asking. So yeah, this is your third year coming on the podcast. Our first discussion here was February 10th, 2023. So what would you say, like looking back at that time, how would you say that
Hmm.
you've like like changed or evolved as a person since that time? And then what would you want to look back at today and remember?
Hmm. So I'd say that I've definitely become more confident in myself. My experience with peer, as I say, my academic journey, now with Entre Puentes, Ketchum, it's taught me that there's so much that I can do. Sometimes I'm scared to step out of my comfort zone and embark new challenges. But it's important to stay curious, be proactive, and do things even with fear. That's my new personal motto. Even if you are scared, do things anyway. Do them with fear, but do them. And I feel like that's definitely shaped my past few years. When I first decided to run for the international committee, I was a freshman. English was not my first language. I wasn't fully confident in myself, but I still decided to run. Then when I founded Entre Puentes, also I was trying something new. It was not the traditional path. I was scared, but I did it anyways. But everything that I did, it's shaped who I am as a person and as a professional. And I wouldn't be as confident and as prepared as I am now if it weren't for those experiences. So I would say that's the most important thing that I've learned in this past few years. Just do things anyway. Do them with fear, but do them.
I love that. And what would you say that it means for you to be able to tell your story here on the podcast?
It feels like a great opportunity for me to reflect on everything that I've learned and how much I've grown, but also to share that knowledge with others. We're stronger when we are building community, when we are helping others grow and succeed. And I feel like by sharing my story, sharing my journey and my learnings, I can inspire other students, emerging leaders, and professionals and help them find their path and grow both as people and as professionals. So it seems like the perfect opportunity for me to not just reflect on how much I've grown, but share that knowledge to inspire and empower others to do the same.
That's amazing. And if anyone wants to, let's say, to find you online, find out a little bit more about your agency or whatever the case may be, where are the best places for them to find you?
Mhm. So you can find me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is Milagros Orkoshen, and there you'll find information about PRSSA, Ketchum, Entre Puentes, myself, or you could always email me at milagros.orkoshen at PRSA, at gmail.com. Sorry, my brain is still connected to PRSA.
Oh, good. I mean, yeah, I definitely know that for me, like, when people ask, like, what grade are you in? And I'm like, oh, well, no, wait, I'm done. I'm done.
I know, I know. I'm still adapting to this new chapter of my life where I'm no longer the president of your SSA.
No worries at all. Well, I did want to ask before I ask that final question. So as you know, because you, of course, as you said, you have proclaimed yourself as the biggest fan of my podcast. You have seen everything from starting on our first conversation, episode 5, to episode 79, and now this 123. So our first conversation was titled "Learn at Every Moment." The second one was called "Be Confident in Yourself." What would you name this episode?
I would say even with fear. I feel like that's the most powerful message that um, I've been trying to communicate, and the most important thing that I've learned. I mean, you said I talked about confidence. I talked about learning at every moment. But that's all connected to just doing things. Even if you're scared, just do it and keep finding new ways to learn and keep building your confidence.
I love that. And as always, I'm going to allow for you to close this out here with whatever be a life lesson, inspirational thought, whatever the case may be. The floor is all yours.
So I'd say just don't I would say just always keep looking for new ways for you to grow and learn, as we were saying before. That will help you build your confidence, have this proactivity and mindset of lifelong learning. And again, I know it can be scary to step out of your comfort zone and try new things, be adventurous. But at the same time, it's important to keep in mind that growth happens when we step out of our comfort zones. So again, even if you are scared, do things, because remember that growth will truly happen when you step out of your comfort zone. If you stay within your comfort zone, you won't evolve, you won't grow. So it's important to step out of your comfort zone and do things even with fear.
I absolutely love that. So thank you so much for always coming on the show and for always encouraging us and enlightening us. And I am so excited to see you in just a few months.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure to be here. I always enjoy speaking with you. So thank you for your time. Thank you for this space. And yes, I can wait to see you in October.
Yeah, I'll see you then. For those tuning in, thank you always for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you next time, friends. Take care and have a great rest of your day.